You also hold up the what looks to be an imaginary cock to your face.
Nom 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 nom.
Every time one little thing happens and this fight gets fucked up, it makes me hate this guy so much more. Holy fuck.
It is one of those like precision fights where as soon as one thing goes wrong, your entire attempt got like flushed.
Your entire attempt is pretty...
Hey internet, time to break out your Yu-Gi-Oh cards because we're doing Halion. So, we're gonna break this down into some common sense World of Warcraft maneuvers. Halion is a dragon. Halion spawns fire and void zones, and also giant beams of death. We know from common sense to not stand in front or behind the dragon, do not stand in a void zone, and do not stand in fire. Also, do not stand in the giant beam of death. So, once you've got that firmly implanted in your mind, then you can go into Halion and say, this is an interesting fight, I'm not going to suck because I'm not going to stand in fire, I'm not going to stand in void zone, and I'm not going to get hit by the giant laser of death. There we go. So, Halion is split up into 3 phases. The first and second phase are slightly identical, and then the third phase is basically just the first and second phase combined. Phase 1, the light phase. The boss is a very simple dragon boss. He cleaves, he has a tail lash, and he also puts a random debuff on a raid member called Fiery Combustion. This is slightly tricky. The goal with this debuff is to run out of the raid to the edge of the platform and have it cleansed off of you. If you cleanse it, it drops a void zone on the ground, which gets bigger the amount of times it stacks on you. So the longer you have it on you, the bigger the void zone will be when you cleanse it. So if you cleanse it as soon as this person gets it, and he happens to be standing in the middle of the melee, everyone in the melee will be damaged. He also does something called Meteor Strike. Basically, he summons a big glowing circle on the ground, which he will then have a meteor crash into, and that in itself does a fair amount of damage, but out of that spawns fire, which kind of tentacles out all over the raid. Really simple, don't stand in fire. That's it. When he gets to 75%, he will go into the Twilight Realm. Twilight Realm is very similar to the Light Realm in the fact that there are debuffs that need to be cleansed, and it's still a dragon, so don't stand in front and behind. The difference in these 2 phases is that in the Twilight Realm, there are 2 floating orbs that are circling the arena that you're fighting in, and every 30-odd seconds, a giant fucking death laser beam fires between the 2. If you stand in this laser beam, you will die. That's as simple as it is. It slowly rotates. You can easily outrun it, and in most cases, people will die from running into it, not away from it. There's also an aura that does 3,000 damage every 2 seconds to everyone in the raid. So if I were you, and I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh! In the Shadow Realm, I would summon my Blue Eyes White Dragon and have him put on Shadow Resistance aura. But that's just me. So, when the boss gets to 50%, he'll go into Phase 3. Phase 3 is a combination of Phase 1 and Phase 2 in the fact that he will now be in both the Twilight Realm and the Light Realm. The general strategy with this is to have your range go in the Light Realm and your melee stay in the Twilight Realm. You need a tank and a healer in both realms, but you're going to need more healers in the Twilight Realm because in the Light Realm there isn't a lot of damage going out, basically because there's no laser, there's no aura that does damage. It's very simple. It's almost identical to the first phase. But there is a slight fight mechanic that you need to be aware of. And quite honestly, I am so bad at explaining this that I'm literally going to read this word for word from WoW Wiki. That's how convoluted this is in my mind. Halion receives a buff called Corporeality. This is determined by a percentage shown at the top of the screen, which begins at 50%. Depending on the value of this, Halion will take and deal more damage in one realm and deal and take less damage in the other. There are no damage differences to either realm while it remains at 50%. Damaging Halion in the physical realm will cause him to phase further into the Twilight Realm, lowering his corporeality, and works vice versa when damaging him in the Twilight Realm. If no damage is dealt in one realm, Halion will begin to rapidly regenerate health. So, basically, you need to have that other tank, heals, and DPS in the Light Realm, because if you don't, he'll start to regenerate health, which is no good. So let me explain this a little bit more coherently, so when you're looking at the percentage at the top of the screen, you aren't still scratching your head. If the percentage is over 50%, then Halion will do and take more damage in the physical realm than the Twilight Realm. If the percentage is under 50%, then Halion will do and take more damage in the Twilight Realm. The goal of the fight is to keep it at 50% constantly, because Halion hits like a truck on his own, and with the buff that he gets, he can literally one-shot the tank, especially in the Twilight Realm, where the tank not only has to deal with Halion hitting insanely hard, but he has to deal with the aura, he has to deal with void zones, and he has to deal with the laser. So the goal of the fight is to keep it at 50%. You'll see a lot of times in the video that's going along with this commentary that there are a lot of occasions where I stop DPSing the boss completely, and that's because I'm letting the physical realm, or the light realm, catch up to our realm. Also, a quick note on raid composition for this fight. Our tanks kept getting one-shotted during phase 3 because of the Corporeality debuff. So what we did, because DPS was not an issue since we were all Ice Crown geared, and then rage timer is almost non-existent, is we actually 4-healed it. That's right, 4-healed it. We had 3 healers in the Twilight and 1 healer in the physical realm. And as you can see, we were successful. So while that might not be the right raid composition for you and your guild, I'm just letting everybody know that it was successful for us, and so try it out. If you don't like it, you don't have to use it, but it was nice having the extra safety net of a healer in case someone got hit by Death Beam or whatever. So yeah, special thanks to Long John, Tumrock, Unearthed, Grep, Solderon, Dying Angel, Avarel, Solument, Nitty Gritty, and everybody else who helped finally down Halion, whatever. Talk to you guys later. Have fun, Ruby Sanctum.